So if you built out your bar with core spirits and you're wondering what liquor you should start your home bar with, then this is the correct video for you. My name is Ron Vierpin. I'm a full-time medical doctor and I've been a home bartender for over 5 years now. During that time, I've learned how to make over 100 different cocktails and I've thrown over 50 cocktail parties. And I teach other busy professionals how to make cocktails at home. And in this video, I'll be answering that very important question. If you've already built out your bar with the 6 core spirits, then what liquors should you start buying? And in this video, I'm going to be focusing specifically on the liquor here, which is Cointreau. So I'm going to be assuming by this point you have bought out the 6 core spirits, or at least a few of them, maybe 2, maybe 3, because it all really depends on how early you are in this journey and how much space you have and things like that. And just to summarize, those 6 core spirits are going to be vodka, gin, tequila, rum, whiskey, and cognac. So those are the 6 core spirits. So let's say you have all of those or some combination. Maybe you have all 6 of them, maybe you have just one of them, maybe you have 2 or 3, somewhere in the middle. And now you want to start buying liqueurs to really build out your home bar and increase the amount of cocktails that you can build. What should be the liqueurs that you should start with? The first liqueur that you should buy is an orange liqueur, because if you are learning home bartending the correct way, you're going to be starting with classic cocktails. And of all the different liqueurs, the ones that is used the most commonly in classic liqueurs, especially ones that are still popular in the year 2025, is going to be orange liqueur. And there are a number of orange liqueurs. Of all of them, the one that I recommend the most to home bartenders is Cointreau, which I have here. And there are a couple of reasons for this. First, let's talk about what cocktails you can make with orange liqueur. So there are a number of them. There are a few that are more important than others, I would say. The most important of all the different cocktails that uses orange liqueur, I would say, is the margarita. And that's because the margarita is extremely popular. If I asked you guys to name 10 different cocktails, or maybe even just 5 different cocktails, almost all of you, or maybe all of you, would name the margarita, because it is a classic cocktail, and in the year 2025, it is still extremely well known. It is still extremely popular. People always order this at bars. People always ask me for margaritas when they come over to my place, because it's just that well known, that popular, especially in the United States and Mexico, but also throughout the entire world these days in the year 2025. So that is the most important cocktail that will use Cointreau as a liqueur. There are a couple other ones that are really good and really popular. I would say probably the second most popular of all of them is the Mai Tai. The Mai Tai is the prototypical tiki cocktail. If people only know how to make one type of, or if people only know one tiki drink, they're gonna know the Mai Tai, because it's just that popular and that well known. So this is an important ingredient for that. The orange liqueur is an important part of the flavor profile of the Mai Tai. There's a couple other cocktails that use orange liqueur as well. The next one that I want to mention is the Sidecar. The Sidecar is in that Daisy family, just like the classic Daisy itself, but also like the margarita that I mentioned earlier. And the Daisy, just to recap, the Daisy is a sour cocktail that also uses a liqueur. So in addition to containing liquor, citrus juice, either lime or lemon, and then a sweetener, it also contains a liqueur. And in the case of both the margarita and the Sidecar, which are the two most popular of all the different Daisy template recipes, the Sidecar and the margarita both use orange liqueur. And you can use different types of orange liqueur, but I always prefer Cointreau. That's because I think of all the different orange liqueurs, Cointreau is the most universally well-liked. It has a slightly sweeter flavor profile than some of the other options, like the dry curacao, for example. And I think this blends more easily and well into a number of different cocktails, including the 3 that we mentioned, which are the 3 most important that use orange liqueur: the margarita, the Sidecar, and the Mai Tai. There are a number of other cocktails that also called for orange liqueur. One that you guys are all probably familiar with is the Long Island iced tea. The Long Island iced tea calls for 5 different clear spirits. 4 of them are liqueurs. 4 of them are liquors, which are vodka, gin, tequila blanco, and white rum. And then the 5th one is actually Cointreau, which you may not be able to tell by this dark bottle, but Cointreau is also a clear spirit, just like vodka, gin, blanco, tequila, and white rum. So this is the like the 5th horseman, or the 5th member of that 5 parts, 5 clear spirits that go into a Long Island iced tea. And that is a very popular drink in 2025, and it has been for the past 40 years or 40 plus years since it was invented. So that's a fourth cocktail that calls for orange liqueur. Another one that I can name off the top of my head is the Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan was created in that in-between period, in between 1950. I call it the in-between period because pre-1950 is classic cocktail and post-2000 is modern classics. So it falls in that in-between period. Cosmopolitan was created sometime in like the 70s or 80s. And it's still a very popular drink even today, and it calls for orange liqueur. And then the final example that I have is the Corpse Reviver number 2. This is another classic cocktail, and out of all the different Corpse Reviver categories or different variations, the Corpse Reviver number 2 is actually the one that is the most popular, and that calls for orange liqueur as well. And you can actually have different orange liqueurs, like for example, some people like to use Curaçaos for some of these drinks, and Cointreau for some of these drinks, and maybe a different type of orange liqueur for another type of drinks. But I would say the most versatile and the one that you should start your home bartending journey with, because when I was more advanced and had a lot of different bottles in my bar, I actually had Cointreau, and I had the Pierre Ferrand's dry Curaçao, and I actually had a bottle of Giffard blue Curaçao. So I actually had 3 different types of orange liqueurs. But if you could only have one, the most bang for your buck, the most versatile, the one that'll be great in all of those different cocktails that I mentioned is going to be the Cointreau that I have here. Currently, this is the only bottle of orange liqueur that I have. And if you could only start with one, I would say go ahead and buy this one. So just to summarize what we talked about in this video, if you've already started acquiring your core spirits, the big 6, which are going to be vodka, gin, tequila, rum, whiskey, and cognac. If you've already started accumulating all of them or even just some of them, and you want to start buying liqueurs to increase the amount of different types of drinks you can make, liqueurs really open up that world of daisy cocktails, which are sours that have a liqueur on top of them. And I talked about 2 of the most famous ones, which are the Margarita and the Sidecar. Those both call for orange liqueur. So if you're wondering which liqueur you should start your home bartending journey with, then go ahead and buy orange liqueur. And specifically of all the different types of orange liqueurs that are out there, and there are quite a few, go ahead and buy Cointreau. This will get you the most bang for your buck, and it is the most versatile. It works in all of those different cocktails that I mentioned, and it is the most pleasing across the different types of people that you're going to be serving drinks for, because people do have different tastes. Some prefer sweet, some prefer dry, some prefer sour, bitter, etc., etc., etc. I found that of all the different orange liqueurs that I've used, I found this one is the most pleasing to the most variety and the most amount of different people that you're going to be serving your drinks to. So if you'd only start your home bartending journey with one liqueur, go ahead and choose the Cointreau, the orange liqueur that I have here. Anyways, that's all I have for today's video. If you found the advice helpful, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I like to do 2 types of videos. One will be like this style of video where I give tips and tricks and share advice and stories from my own home bartending journey that I feel will help you guys become the best home bartenders that you can be. And then the second type of video is where I do tutorials teaching you guys how to make a specific cocktail. And the primary focus will be on classic cocktails like the Margarita and the Sidecar mentioned in this video. So anyways, that's all I have for today's video. Thank you. Cheers.